Hi everyone, for today's lesson we are going to learn more about angle side angle and angle side. For this lesson, please make sure that you have completed the video notes for this lesson where we go into greater detail about angle side angle and angle side. Remember that for angle side angle, the side that we are talking about touches both angles. And if you see that two angles of one triangle and the included side, the side that touches both of the angles we're talking about, and the corresponding angles on the included side, or their included side, then they're all matching up of another triangle, are congruent, then we can conclude that the triangles are congruent by angle side angle. Angle side means that we are talking about two angles, but the side that we're talking about is a side that only touches one of the angles, not both. And on top of that, that side, those sides must be matching or corresponding sides that are touching the same exact type of angle. So like in this case, we were talking about a side that only touches, the side that touches the angle with two arc marks. So if we had in this triangle the side that touches one arc mark, and in this triangle the side that touches two arc marks, then those sides are not matching each other. So you have to be really, really careful and pay attention to those types of details. All right, let's go ahead and try a few of these examples for this lesson. So looking at example number 1, A and B, it says, can triangle STW and triangle VTW be proven congruent with the information given in the diagram? If so, state the postulate or theorem that you would use. So in this problem, letter A, you have to be really careful. So we are looking at triangle STW. So I'm going to make STW yellow. And STW isn't the little triangles inside. Instead, it's this one right here, STW. And then I also have triangle, and we'll call this one green, VWT. So here is VWT. Sometimes it can be really challenging to look at these triangles, but what I see here is that both of these triangles share the same side. They share this side, TW and WT. And because they share that same side, we can say that these two segments are congruent by the reflexive property of congruence. So now what we need to do is we need to really analyze this picture and verify that our angles match up, and we need to see, is this angle side or is this angle side angle? So something that is really helpful, or sometimes what's really helpful, is if you separate the triangles and redraw them. So this would be S, T, and W, and here's our angles. And we have V, W, and T. And here's my right angle. So we would say, according to this, this is, S is a 60-degree angle, and V is a 60-degree angle. And then they both have in common that TWWT. And so looking at these, I see angle, side, angle, side. And the side that we're interested in touches just the right angle in both of these triangles. So we would say, yes, they are congruent by angle, side. Let's go ahead and look at letter B. For letter B, I see that we have a right angle and a right angle, one angle that has an arc mark, the other one that has an arc mark, and then they both share a side, and that side that they share is TW. And that's where we're once again working with the reflexive property of congruence. And now the reflexive property of congruence will never be something that is given to you. So looking at this picture, I can see that we have angle, side, angle, angle, side, angle. And I'm pretty sure that everything matches up because we want STW, so S would match with V. And looking at this, I see S matching with V, so that matches. T would match with W, so yes, my angle that has a right angle matches with W, which has a right angle. And W, which has an arc, matches with T that has an arc. So in terms of matching, these all match up, and this is angle, side, angle, because the side touches both of the angles that we're interested in. So in this case, the answer is yes, we can prove these triangles congruent by angle, side, angle. All right, let's go ahead and look at example number 2. In example number 2, we want to know, is it possible to prove that the triangles are congruent? And if so, we want to state the postulates or theorems that we see. So let's go ahead and look at letter A. In letter A, we are looking at triangle KLN being congruent to triangle MNL. And what I see here is I see that angle LNM is congruent to angle KLN. So I think that that matches. So MNL, so MNL, yes, would match with KLN. So yeah, I think that that matches, especially based on the statement. I see the reflexive property of congruence here because they both share a side. So I'm going to mark that on my picture that we're going to be working with the reflexive property of congruence. And I don't see anything else other than these arrows. And these arrows mean parallel lines. And I know that in this unit, whenever I see parallel lines, I'm either working with corresponding angles or alternate interiors. And because of this diagonal, this gives me the clue that I'm probably working with alternate interiors. Now, created with the parallel side, I see that I have alternate interior angles that are congruent. So once again, I'm going to mark, write down on my picture that if you see parallel lines, always look for two things. You're either number 1, looking for alternate interior angles that are congruent, or number 2, you're looking for corresponding angles, which are also congruent. Those are going to be the two that we see. So if we were to look at these angles and we needed to talk about these angles, we would have to use 3 letters in order to name them. So, and that goes for this one up here as well. We would have to use 3 letters in order to name these 2 angles. And the reason why we'd have to use 3 letters is because angle N represents many angles, and so does angle L. So if we were to name those, that would be like angle KNL would be congruent to angle, well, K matches with M, and that would be L and then N. And notice that L and N don't necessarily match up with the same letter. They just match up with each other. And so analyzing these 2 triangles, I see angle, side, angle, angle, side, angle. So I think that the way that we're going to prove these triangles congruent is angle, side, angle. Angle, side, angle. All right, let's go ahead and look at letter B. For letter B, we are talking about triangle TXZ and triangle VYX. And notice that these triangles are overlapping, so it might be helpful if we were to use color. So I'm going to use pink to talk about TXZ. So here's TXZ. And I see, I'm going to use yellow, so I use pink for this one and yellow for this one, and I have VYW. Okay. So looking at our angles here, this can get kind of confusing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate what I see. And I'm going to redraw the triangles because it kind of looks confusing. So I'm going to call this T, this is Z, and X has 1 arc mark on it. And I also see that this side link has 1, 2, 3, 4 collectively. So I'm going to mark up 1, 2, 3, 4 tick marks. And down here I see just 2 tick marks. But this piece right here is shared. So I guess I'm just going to call it 2 tick marks because it's like the whole piece. And if you want, maybe you can use like an extra tick mark or whatever. But I'm just going to use 2. All right, so far I see side, angle, side. Look at that. Side, angle, side. That's what I see so far. So let's see if we can use side, angle, side for the other one. This is V, W, and this is Y this time. And Y has 1 arc mark. V to Y has 1, 2, 3, and then this one over here, so 4 tick marks. And then I see 2 tick marks again. So based on these 2 pictures, I once again see side, angle, side. So I'm going to say yes. And even though this lesson isn't called side, angle, side is still a very valid way to prove that triangles are congruent. So I want you guys to be aware that even side could make a reappearance because eventually we're going to be working with all of them put together. So just be open to that, guys. All right, so that was side, angle, side. All right, let's go ahead and look at example number 3. So for example number 3, it says, tell whether you can use the given information to determine whether triangle JRM is congruent to triangle XYZ and explain your reasoning. So for all of these situations, what I would like you guys to please do is please draw in the same 2 triangles. Draw in congruent triangles. And then we're going to mark them up based on information that is given to us. So to the very best of your ability, try to make these triangles look as congruent as possible. Same shape, same size. And we're talking about JRM. So here's going to be JRM and XYZ. So JRM, XYZ. JRM, XYZ. And finally, JRM, XYZ. All right, let's go ahead and look at letter A. So I'm going to be marking up based on what I see. So I see JM needs to be congruent to XZ. Okay, so far that's good. Angle M is congruent to angle Y. Uh-oh. They do not match each other. So far, I think that the answer is going to be no. And look at this. We have angle J being congruent to angle X. But looky here. I see angle, side, angle. And over here, I see angle, angle, and then this random side. So we have angle, side, angle, 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 side. They're not the same. So the answer in this case is no. The triangles are not congruent. Instead, what we would need is we would need like angle M to be congruent to angle Z. That's what we need, and that is not what we have right here. Or we would need like angle R to be congruent to angle Y. That's the information that we need, and we don't have that in this problem, so that's the reason why the answer is no. So all of your corresponding pieces need to match up, and in this case, it's not. So let's go ahead and look at letter B. Letter B, we are told JM is congruent to XZ, JR. Use 2 tick marks this time, don't use 1. We have to change up our number of tick marks. Needs to match, is congruent to YZ. Uh-oh. I don't think that this is going to match. And angle J is congruent to angle X. Nope, this is another one. No, the triangles are not congruent. And the reason why they're not congruent is because segment JR is supposed to be congruent to segment XY. That's what's supposed to happen, not YZ. And so I really want you guys to be really, really careful with that. Let's go ahead and look at letter C. For letter C, I have segment RM being congruent to segment YZ. I have angle M is congruent to angle Z. I have angle J being congruent to angle X. I see angle, angle, side, and that side is touching the same corresponding angle. So I'm going to say yes, these triangles are congruent by angle, angle, side. Nice. Let's go ahead and look at letter D. For letter D, I have JR is congruent to YZ. Ooh, I'm already seeing that the answer is going to be maybe not. YZ, so RM is going to be congruent to ZX. Uh-oh. And then MJ is congruent to XY. So based on the order of what's given to us, these do not match. So the order, so I can see side, 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 but the order of the letters are not correct. So one thing that you can do sometimes, I mean, the answer is genuinely no. Like based on the order that is given to us, the answer is no. But one thing that we can do to like take things to the next level is talk about what should happen. So the order of the letters should be triangle. Let's go ahead and match this up. So we would have, let's call this JRM. Triangle JRM should be congruent to triangle. What does J actually match with? It looks like we have 1 and 3, 1 and 3. It actually would match with Y. R has 1 and 2, so does Z, 1 and 2. So in terms of like matching up the number of tick marks, R would match with Z. And then finally M has 2, 3. M, or what has 2, 3 over here is 2, 3 is X. So it should be triangle JRM is congruent to triangle YZX. But in terms of the given order, the answer is going to be no. They are not congruent based on the given order. All right, you guys, we have one more example, and then we are done with this lesson. So here's our next example. It says state the third congruence that is needed in order to prove that triangle DEF is congruent to triangle QRT with the given postulate or theorem. So what really helps for these types of problems is if you use a pencil. If you only have a pen, then that's perfectly fine. But if you need to use like different colors to identify whatever you're talking about, I'll start with pink for letter A, yellow for letter B, and green for letter C. So as long as you guys can pay attention to that, that will help you out as I'm going through these problems. So let's go ahead and talk about letter A. For letter A, I have angle D is congruent to angle Q. Angle F, I'm going to use 2 arc marks, is congruent to angle T. And I want to prove this by angle, angle, side. So I just need one more side. So I could tell you that that side that I'm going to pick is not going to be DF and QT. I am not picking that one. So I'm going to pick maybe DE is congruent to QR. So segment DE could be congruent to segment QR. Or I could pick EF is congruent to RT. I could do that. So you have to make sure that you're picking side lengths that are corresponding. So in that problem, there are 2 different choices. So now I'm going to use yellow to talk about the next one, or if you're working with pencil, you'll erase your work over here because we're going to be doing a different problem. In this problem, we have angle E is congruent to angle R. I have EF is congruent to RT. And I want to prove these triangles congruent by angle, side, angle. So it looks like I have an angle and a side, and I need my other angle. And that other angle needs to touch my side that I was given. And that's going to be angle F is going to be congruent to angle T. And I know that might be a little difficult to read, so I'm going to rewrite this. Angle F needs to be congruent to angle T. That's what we need over here. All right, last one. What we are given is that angle D is congruent to angle Q. We're told that DE is congruent to QR, and we want to prove these triangles congruent by this time side angle side. So do we want an angle? No, we want another side. And that side is going to it's going to be the side that also touches angle D and also touches angle Q. And that's going to be DF and QT. So I'm going to say segment DF needs to be congruent to segment QT in order to prove these triangles congruent by side angle side. And that is the end of today's lesson. If you have any questions over anything I talked about, please feel free to email me. Otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful day.